All right, so let's talk about pre-labor or early labor. They can be used interchangeably, but technically pre-labor is happening before early labor. It kind of all blends within that time period, so not to get confused with that. Early labor, you are for sure in labor or going to be into active labor within the next 24 hours. Your body is in those early stages. Perhaps you've been at 1 centimeter or 2 centimeter for about a week or two, and now your body's starting to dilate further. I just wanted to paint a picture to where you may be at. This is the longest stage and the most unpredictable, potentially, stage of labor. It can be a week or it can be a day. It always throws me for a loop. You never know, right? It's just sometimes you're stuck at 2 centimeters for 2 weeks and you're like, what the heck? You're up to 3 centimeters dilated in this stage. Any more, like 4 or 5, then yes, you should be into a steady active labor at that point. You can be contracting continuously, or you can be cramping or silently dilating. Just really depends. You may notice some blood or spotting or a mucus plug. The mucus plug is the plug that basically is in the cervix, and when it's lost, you can lose it a week or two before labor. It's not a complete positive sign of that baby is coming very soon, but for sure within the next week or a couple days. But anyhow, it kind of looks like a snot, and it about the size of a shot glass worth. You'll notice it in your underwear. The thing with a mucus plug, it can grow back. If you lose it couple weeks before you actually give birth, it can grow back. So try not to get too excited or married to the idea that labor is coming if you see it. Another sign in early labor is water trickling or potentially a gush. And when your water breaks, you want to write down when it broke. You want to write down, I use the acronym TACO. So you want to write down the time, the amount of fluid, the color, and the odor. If you do see a color, a green or a brown consistency, you want to call your care provider right away. That means that the baby pooped in the sac, which is a sign of distress for baby. It's called meconium, which is another name for the poop. It is hard on the baby's lungs, and you don't want them to breathe that in. So you will need to, if you're at a home birth or you're planning for a home birth and perhaps your water breaks spontaneously, sometimes it does, like in the movies. Sometimes it's a little trickle, and sometimes it happens towards the very end. It just is super random. And you do notice the color, you will have to transfer in, just a heads up, because baby is in distress and we don't want that. In early labor, the birthing person is in good spirits and they can communicate through the contractions most of the time. But yeah, they should be very tolerable and familiar. We are women. Most of us listening are listening, maybe not for the guys who are tuning in, but yeah, it'll feel like a cramp, a period cramp, or a very strong period cramp. So let's talk about coping during this phase. I just want to put out there that lean on your comfort measures. Don't feel like if it's because it's early labor that you can't use your comfort measures because it's going to get harder. Like, don't feel like you need to toughen it up because it will get harder. You know what I'm trying to say? If you need to, take a grab ball to go take a nap, or use your TENS machine, they're great in early labor. And you know what? I find them to be even the best in early labor. Put your TENS machine on and grab your heat pack and get some rest, because it's going to, think about it, it's that you're about to climb Mount Everest. And I will be your birth Sherpa along the way, but I want to make sure that you are rested and nourished and calm before we take this journey together. I don't think you need to be doing stairs. You don't need to be going on crazy walks. Trust me, the baby will come. You don't need to rush it. I would say keep it light, keep it relaxing, and get lots of rest. Some people do like to keep busy. I'd say if they're lighthearted things like board games or, potentially clean the house or go for a dinner, this phase can last up to 24 hours. So just keep busy and don't obsess over the contractions. If you notice they're getting stronger and longer, you can maybe count how long they are or when they started for maybe 3 or 4, and then let it go. And then don't track them again until you notice a major change in them. Sometimes, especially for new moms, like the experience can feel more intense because our bodies have never gone through that yet. So say if you check in, this is common, you check into the hospital and, hey, I think I'm in active labor, but maybe you're only 2 to 3 centimeters dilated. And you're having consistent contractions. You may check into the hospital and they may offer you morphine. This is a kind of a common one just to help with the pain. Perhaps you were up all night from these minor contractions and labor pains, and sometimes don't feel minor. So I shouldn't, downgrade that. But yeah, morphine can be offered. Sometimes it works great, and you go home and you take it and you fall asleep and rest, because that's what they're really trying to get you to do, is please go home and sleep and dilate more at home, because studies show that if you go into the hospital too early, it leads to more interventions. But anyhow, yeah, so if you take morphine, be mindful that there are side effects, and sometimes you can feel nauseous and sometimes you don't fall asleep. So that's no fun. I've had that happen for a client before where they just felt worse. So definitely talk to your care provider about the negative side effects and if it's worth it for you. You want to preserve your energy, like I was saying. Think of yourself like an iPhone charger. You want to plug yourself in. You want to, rest. Even if you're not sleeping, just having a shut-eye is good. Resting your feet. You're going to be on your feet potentially. You're going to be on your hands and knees potentially. So, you don't want to be going into labor on an empty battery. Get nutrition in. Eat, and sleep. If you have an appetite in any regard, please get some food in at this time. When you go into labor, you won't be hungry, but having good nutrition is so important. If maybe you can't eat a steak dinner, but you can handle a smoothie or a granola bar or what have you, please get some food in while you can, because it could be a long time between your next meal, and hunger is a real thing during labor, especially when you get a epidural and all of a sudden, you don't feel any pain, and all of a sudden your appetite starts to come back a little bit. You're kind of hungry, and I don't want a hungry mama on my hands while in labor. For the partner, I want you to offer your wife or partner a massage. Make her feel relaxed and comfortable, and just nourish her and fill her cup up in the early game. When we do a prenatal, if you're working with me, I will show you how to massage, and I will show you a early labor side-lying hip release, and it's called the jiggle. And it helps improve relaxation in the hips and prep them for baby to feel like they have space to move. Mom's hips are the lock and the baby's head is the key, and together they have to fit perfectly. And if we can help facilitate that and get it nice and loose, all the better for babies travel through the hips. So that's what I have about early labor. We are going to move into active labor on the next slide.